Happy summer solstice, my friends! Yes, today is June 20th, 2021, and here in the United States and in all of the Northern Hemisphere, today is the summer solstice. So you're probably wondering, what does summer solstice have to do with me and hops? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, folks. Max Raphael here from Hops World, and tip number 21, summer solstice and hops. Let's do it. Hey friends, before I can talk about how the summer solstice affects hops plants, we have to explain that hops are actually a perennial plant, which means that they live many years or more than 1 year. And in the case of hops, hops flower every year. And what triggers the hops to flower is actually the summer solstice. And what happens is, in the Northern Hemisphere, on June 20th, we have the summer solstice. And in the Southern Hemisphere, on December 21st, we have the summer solstice this year. And that day is actually the day that is the longest day of the year, which means it actually has a day that has the most sunlight hitting your plants out of every day of the year. So, starting today until December 21st, the daylight hours in each day are going to get shorter. And this is really the trigger to make our hops plants flower. As you can see, it's an example here in southeast Pennsylvania in the United States. We are at 40 degrees latitude. Today, June 20th, we have 15 hours, 21 minutes of daylight. And in December 21st, we only have 9 hours, 18 minutes of daylight. This difference in each day of the hours of daylight makes our plants start to branch and start to flower. And there's 3 things that the summer solstice affects on us hops growers. The first and second thing is that the plants start branching and they start flowering. So soon after the summer solstice, where your leaves are leaving the main stem, you'll see little sprouts. These sprouts will eventually turn into long branches, and depending on the variety, the branches could be from 12 inches long all the way up to 5 or 6 feet on certain varieties, believe it or not. And then eventually, on these branches, your hops will start flowering. You will see little white-haired burrs. These burrs are actually the part of the hops plant that you will eventually use to make beer, because these burrs on the branches will eventually turn into beautiful hops cones. And that is what we're looking for. These beautiful cones is the only part of the hops plant that we use to make beer. So the third thing that the summer solstice affects us hops growers is that we stop using nitrogen. Your hops plant is now in the flowering mode and not in the growing mode. So it's time to quit putting nitrogen down if you have been putting it down, and think about more potassium and phosphorus on your hops plant, because now they're in the flowering mode. So now all we have to do is sit back, wait till the end of August or early September, and watch our hops flower. So, before you guys or girls in South America or maybe in India, in some of these North Africa regions that are closer to the equator, I know you're about to put some comments to tell me that the summer solstice doesn't have much to do with the hops growing there, but yes, that's true. What I explained about the summer solstice is really typical in the typical hops growing regions of the world between latitude 35 and 55. And now a lot of folks are trying to grow hops in areas closer to the equator in the United States, south in Texas and Arizona, and projects in Florida, and in South America all throughout, in Colombia, Peru, Chile, and tons in Brazil. There's many people interested in India, Pakistan. People call me all the time in areas that were not typical hops growing regions around the world. So the difference in the photo period, and we'll show you that in another tip, isn't so great where the summer solstice makes that much of a difference. And in fact, in South America, in our farm and various farms in Brazil, we are actually using LED lights to add to the amount of hours during the day to control the quote-unquote day of summer solstice. Because when we cut the lights back after adding these hours, it does the same effect. So there's people in South America that are getting 2 and 3 harvests. We get 2 harvests a year now, and there are people even getting 3. So this summer solstice is always the same day of the year, no matter where you live, unless you're right on the equator, where there's 12 hours of sunlight in the winter, 12 hours of sunlight in the summer. There's always going to be one day, unless you're on that equator, that is the longest day of the year with sunlight, and that's the summer solstice. So, I hope you liked today's tip. If you liked, put a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We have a couple tips coming this week, already made, already planned, so stay tuned. Cheers to life.